Pittsburgh Steelers were looking bad at 1-3. Then they won 4 games in a row. Now they're 5-3-1 after the tie on Sunday against the Lions. The Steelers are unsure whether Ben Roethlisberger, who was a Saturday night scratch with a COVID diagnosis, or T.J. Watt, who has a hip injury and a knee injury, will be able to play on Sunday night on NBC against the Los Angeles Chargers. And also, Minkah Fitzpatrick unlikely to play. He landed on the COVID list with a positive test on Monday. And they make it sound easy. If you're unvaccinated, you're out 10 days. We know that. If we didn't know it before Aaron Rodgers, we know it now. If you are vaccinated, well, hey, if you generate a pair of negative tests 24 hours apart, you can come back. Well, I don't think anybody's come back within a week. No. After testing positive. No, I may be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time this hour, but it just doesn't happen. And that's why it's funny, because Jay Glazer said something about that on Sunday on the Fox pregame show, and it freaked people out. And some people who saw a tweet about it thought that he was saying that Ben wasn't vaccinated. No, he's being pragmatic. He is vaccinated.
Right.
But you test positive on Saturday night and you have another game in 8 days, chances are you ain't coming back for that game.
Yeah, it's exactly right, Mike. A ton of players have gone out, obviously, who are vaccinated, have a breakthrough case. None have come back less than a week. Most have been at 10 days, which is the maximum they can be on there if they're vaccinated. Almost every player, to a man, has been out 10 days. Now, Ben, if you remember last year, he missed that one game. This is if he can generate those 2 negative tests 24 hours apart. Remember, he was a close contact last year, and he missed a week. And he came back the next week, and he actually played in the game. He did an Aaron Rodgers where he came back the day before. They activated him. He didn't practice that week. And he played against the Bengals, and he threw 333 yards and 4 touchdowns, played really well. So if he doesn't practice, in some way he can get cleared on Saturday, which we don't believe that to be the case. But if he can, then I think he can play and play pretty darn well without having any practice this week and just participating in those meetings. But they're preparing for Mason Rudolph. Mike Tomlin said that today. We're preparing Mason Rudolph as the starter, just as the Packers did last week with Jordan Love.
What am I missing with Mason Rudolph? I don't get it. Why is he still on the team? What,
no.
Is there some spectacular game that I missed? I remember there was a time he played last year where people were like, maybe he doesn't suck. And I'm sorry. I understand he's an NFL quarterback, and you deserve and you earn and you get a certain amount of respect for reaching that level. But once you're there, once you're on that platform and it's time to go perform, you either do or you don't. And if you don't, we're going to point it out. That's what we're here for. We're not just here to lavish praise. I know there are plenty of shows out there that only do that. We're going to call it like we see it. Why in the hell is Mason Rudolph still the number 2 to Ben Roethlisberger, a guy who's 39 and a half, a guy who does not have a history of, keeping himself in the highest possible condition? In fact, when it was reported earlier this year that he kind of did a TB12 type of a cleanse, he said, no, that's wrong. Basically, I'm still sitting around eating pork rinds and watching bowling on TV. I mean, I just don't get why you would entrust such an important position. The Eagles understand how important backup quarterback is. Why do the Steelers still have Mason Rudolph as their backup? I don't get it, Charean.
I was so surprised this offseason when they didn't go get a veteran quarterback. Now, they have Dwayne Haskins on the roster, and it's just like what we were talking about with Jared Goff. Maybe it's time to see if Ben Roethlisberger can't play. Time to see Dwayne Haskins, frankly. I don't know how much worse he can be than Mason Rudolph. I just don't think much of Mason Rudolph. I think the Steelers should have figured out by now he's not even a good backup, much less the heir apparent to Ben Roethlisberger. And I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback after this year. If Dwayne Haskins is even a little bit in your plans, if you wonder even a little bit if he can be your quarterback next year, why not play him instead of Mason Rudolph this week, if given that Ben Roethlisberger is probably not going to play? I don't get it. I don't know what the Steelers are doing, and they certainly haven't planned for the future after Big Ben retires, which we all believe this is his last year.
Mike Tomlin, a hell of a coach, one of the best in the NFL, one of the best ever, frankly. Kevin Colbert, an excellent general manager. Sometimes they have some personnel blind spots, and I don't know if it's tinkering by Art Rooney, who is very much involved in that team and never gets called out for it. I don't know what it is, but every once in a while they'll do something that just makes you say, what in the hell are they doing? And it's more glaring when a team that has set such a high standard over the past 50 years does it. And this is one of the most bizarre things I've seen from them in the 50 years I've been paying attention to the Steelers. I grew up 60 miles from Pittsburgh. I'm sitting 100 miles from Heinz Field right now. I am confused and befuddled by the fact that they entrusted their backup quarterback job to a guy that they have seen play enough over the years to know he's not the guy that's going to come in and win games for you. Case in point, the worst team in the league comes to town. We know Jared Goff doesn't like playing out in the elements, and they can't beat the Lions with Mason Rudolph stepping in for Ben Roethlisberger.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.